Was it really necessary for Lauren's father to go in on his new son-in-law at the wedding reception?
Definitely not necessary from my vantage point. Not the venue. Way too soon as well.
But he's supposed to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, eventually.
Well, we're gonna disagree. Welcome to Cliff Alerts.
Today we're going to be talking about Lifetime Network's reality-based TV series, Married at First Sight, season number 17, episode number 3.
But before we get into it, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that like button and that subscribe button as well. It helps us in the algorithm, and we thank you and appreciate you for your support.
What was that word you used? Interrogation?
Yeah,
That's exactly what happened.
he was interrogated.
And he ain't pulled no punches with his questions.
Well, it was a little bit performative. Warren really took the father asking those kinds of questions at the reception because, as he stated at the end, they're already married.
Too late now, brother.
Right. So she took all that away from him at the wedding reception,
Yeah.
and he's drinking in Lauren. He said he's floored by who they chose for him.
Yeah, his first sight of
And you
her
could
was,
see
yeah, it was just like memorable for him.
they had their first dance.
Yes, yes. And Orion kind of referenced the fact that because his mother is a Zumba instructor, that's kind of like where he felt he got his dance skills from and he felt very comfortable.
Where to put his hands because he was basically asking her permission
And he should.
to touch
He
and all
should,
that other
because
stuff.
irrespective of the fact that he just got married, he is dealing with a stranger in reality.
This is true. So
So he should not take liberties that have not yet been established, shall we say.
he said he is a grass dancer in his culture. And
Mhm.
you could see Lauren really liked that information. She said at one point, I've never dated out of my race
Mhm.
because she was being very candid with
Right,
him.
right.
And he said, well, I've never dated in my race.
Hmm, hmm.
So I thought that was interesting about,
Interesting dynamic between the
yes.
two of them. And
Um,
Lauren also said, as part of, I believe, that exchange, that she at some point in the ceremony kind of forgot that there was anybody else there. She was
yeah,
that focused on
on him.
Orion.
She admitted that she felt safe around him.
Right.
He's breaking down who he is. He tells her he's taking real estate classes to become a realtor and that he lives with his mother.
Wait a minute. Hold up.
Without batting an eye, she said, well, that's okay as long as you're using your time well by taking these classes and basically educating yourself
And have a
and have an
goal and one
opportunity
goal
to
in mind.
save money
Right. And
because he's an electrician by trade,
right, right.
but he also wants to dabble in real estate. He has the foundation, so I guess that's why she wasn't like disturbed that he was still living with his mother. And there is no problem living with your mother, but I don't see why a grown man who is gainfully employed would still be living at his mother's house.
Yeah, and me personally, I think gotten to a certain point, you need to be out of the house.
There's certain foundational stuff that a man needs to have if he wants to date a woman.
I agree.
And then we build on that.
I agree.
Some of the
Mhm.
men from his tribe were beating on some drums
Yeah, it
and
was a performance and
they were
celebration.
dancing
Right.
around in celebration of his wedding.
Yeah, I thought that was really
That
interesting.
was nice to include in the
I
wedding
agree
reception.
wholeheartedly.
Lauren had a conversation with Bronte's Orion's sister and his friend Evan.
Okay.
And she asked her if she had any red flags.
Hmm.
And Lauren said that the only red flag she knows about is that she wants external validation. That was big for her, but she has come to the marriage as a whole self, and that's not really important to her now.
Yeah, but you know what? I thought that was a really interesting observation. About herself. I thought it was very, what is it, introspective,
Yeah, yes.
and it was very, shall we say, brave of her to reveal that.
Yeah.
And I thought it was okay. I thought it
I
was
I
okay.
thought it was an authentic moment between
Absolutely.
his friends and his sister and Lauren. Lauren's father
Pops.
and Orion sitting down and he's telling Pops that he's employed, making sure he knows that he's an
He
electrician.
did say that right out the back, didn't
Yeah, just to make him know that, he got something stable going on, and I
he?
appreciate that.
His new son-in-law is not a bump.
And that not only that, but I believe he said he is
He's working towards his real estate license.
working towards
Yeah,
it. Father asks Orion, well, what are your expectations for this marriage?
yeah. He said that he comes from a matriarchal kind of setting where he was raised in by women who set the tone. Even though he was raised in that kind of scenario, he intends to kind of adjust that as head of the household. This is what I expect to as it relates to me and my wife now.
Then the conversation went off the rails.
Yeah.
The father asked whether he plans to stay in Colorado.
Yes.
And Orion said, well, he wants to own something, a property in Colorado. However, he also wants to own a property in the East Coast
Right. And
so
he was
that he
basically
can go back and forth.
yeah, and he was basically sharing with his new father-in-law his goals and aspirations.
Right?
And it kind of came across, I'm assuming or presuming to his father um, that he was planning on doing this himself, and that his new wife was not necessarily a factor in that equation.
I got the feeling that he was talking about what they will be doing
Yeah,
for
he wanted his
someday
new
about
son-in-law to be more inclusive.
inclusive.
Right,
And
exactly.
that
And
set him off a little bit.
he was talking more expansively about what they may be doing, as a couple, as a unit.
Yeah, and then Daddy-O slide into the conversation any father would have with a man who their daughter has brought to the house to let him know in certain terms that you got to be responsible, yada yada yada. The man putting another man on the hot seat
Right,
and
but
vaguely threatening him. You know how it goes with that hard conversations men have with the men their daughters bring home.
yeah, and I get that. I just think that it was not the right place. And I understand that he did not have the opportunity to do that
No.
prior to. So I
Hmm.
get that part of it. But as we were talking about, there's a way he could have done it that could have left a little bit more of a cordial feel to it, and inviting, and a little bit less, I guess, shall we say, assertive tact to relates to how he went about these questions.
Lauren took that conversation out of the equation. It'd been an ordinary situation. He and his son-in-law, of course, would have had a conversation long
Long
before.
before, right?
But he took this opportunity to sort of like, I would say, perform. And that's why it came across as if he was giving him the business, so to speak,
Yes,
and it was maybe not the venue.
this opportunity has not been afforded to him in a traditional way, so that he's got to be able to adjust his approach to getting to know his new son-in-law. That would be my thought process,
Yeah.
but maybe not his.
And even at the end of it, he said, well, you're married now. The reception is winding down and they're getting ready to leave.
Right.
And what does Lauren say?
Lauren basically says that she feels like the universe has delivered to her the person that she's supposed to be with. And I thought that was very insightful.
Yeah. And I thought what was insightful too is both of them are looking around for each other when they're not in sight of each other.
Right. It's like they're each other's security blanket.
Yes,
And
she told her friends that.
right.
And she even told her friends when she met with them, they commented about the kiss,
Hmm.
how it was so passionate. And she was laughing, and her friend said there was a lot of heat in it. But on the after party, she mentioned that the kiss was overwhelming. When she was with her girls, that's not what she indicated. She was smiling and kikiing about how much heat the kiss had in it.
Right. And obviously the questions came behind that. Well, based on the kiss that we saw, is there going to be anything happening later on this evening?
Right, then Orion said he's not going to go that route.
Yeah, and I think
That's
that
not
was,
his priority.
and I think based on the uniqueness of the situation, I think it was probably the right decision. I said that I didn't think that they would make it because the maturity issue might come into play, and I don't think I don't think that they're going to be able to overcome that component. Didn't I? Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, but there's a whole lot of
And
that we don't know
and you
anything about.
and you're absolutely right, and that is something I acknowledge at the very beginning of this process. But I will say this, that makes it to me all the more intriguing to kind of find out as the weeks go by whether or not I was right, my gut was right, or it was way off.
That's all we have. God bless you and keep you, and we'll see you in the next bit.